Have you ever had somebody say to you, I struggle to sleep at night. It's just so difficult. I find myself waking up early in the morning, probably about 4 or 5, laying in bed and just thinking, processing all of these different thoughts. I just can't seem to get to sleep. Or somebody else say to you, oh my goodness, I'm just so overwhelmed. There's just so much to do. I have this thing to do and I have that thing to do. And then, there's this other thing that needs doing and I just don't know what decision to make. Do you know what question I ask them when they say that? Do you journal? Journaling is actually all about decluttering through all of your daily experiences to understand, one, what's happening, two, how it makes you feel, and three, which is the most important one, what you're going to do about it. So this is Journaling 101. I'm Marco. Let's start. Well, somebody asked the question, how has journaling helped you? Before you can start journaling, what you actually need, you need a diary of some sort. So I went for the Amazon Basics one. This one's lined. Why? Because it just helps me to put more on the page. Because if I had a blank paper, I feel that I wouldn't have as much writing on each page. So I went for the lined version. And also a pen. Most people will go for a standard biro, but I prefer to have gel inks. I just love the way they flow on the paper with the fluid, and also just express my handwriting in a very different way. It's quite artistic, it feels like to me. The third thing you need is good space where you can actually, be as relaxed as possible in order to actually allow your thoughts to surface. So I prefer to actually journal either in my office or in this living room. What I tend to do is actually dim the lights so that, I'm able to relax to begin with. It's almost like you're going into meditation. And then when you get to that point where you're super relaxed and you actually feel your heart rate slow down, that's the point at which I start journaling, because it means that I'm at the point where my thoughts are able to surface and I can hear them louder than normal. So you need a really good space for that. The fourth thing that you need, which is the most important thing of all, lots of experiences. Because for me, journaling is about understanding where I am and where I'm going. Understanding where I am is all about looking at the daily experiences. So I reflect on the daily experiences that I've had in order to understand how I feel about all of them. So I'm looking at exactly what happened. How is it that I feel about what happened? What did I learn from that? And then how will I do things differently as a result? So what happened? How do I feel about it? What have I learnt from that? And then what will I do differently as a result? So when I'm journaling, that's what I'm looking at. I am looking at, I start off by just writing what happened in the day. So I woke up. But it's important to note here that I'm journaling the significant moments. So it's not every single thing, because it's not like I'm writing some sort of a biography. Yes, it's also great to capture all of the other things that happen in the day. For example, I spend a lot of time with my children and my wife, and so I tend to write all of the different things that have happened in our interactions, and maybe things that I think are important to actually capture. And so I'm writing in there what happened, how I feel about it, what I learnt from that, and what I want to do differently. So when I journal first thing in the morning, what I tend to do is write down what I call my WIGs, which is wildly important goals. So for me, that's everything that I wish to accomplish in the day. It just helps me plan my day better. And that way I'm much more productive. And I find that I work much more effectively when I've got goals that are written down and I know exactly what I'm working towards. And there's that quote which says, we move in the direction of our thoughts. So if all of my goals are written and I can see them, I'm actively thinking about them, which means I can work towards them better. The second thing that I do is also just to make note of any kind of either scriptures that I've read that morning, or a quote that sort of surfaced and I'm thinking about it, or something that I'm meditating about that I wish to also just have at the forefront of my imagination, just so I can continue to think of that and meditate on it to help me kind of go through the day. So I might write down, for example, a quote that says, if you think you can, or if you think you can't, you're right. And then I'll put something like, Mark, you can. So work towards it. So at the end of the day, what I'll do is I'll go through, my goals that I've set for myself and actually look to see if I've actually accomplished all of them. And for the most part, I tend to actually hit all of them. So it's 80 to 90%, and sometimes 100%, which is great. But you can only imagine what that feels like for me. So I've got the sense of achievement every single time, that I go through every goal and actually tick it through. That gives me a chemical rush, which is something that I relish and I look forward to every single day. So as you can imagine, because of that, I am constantly celebrating all of my achievements. I felt this was important because I'm goal driven. I tend to just kind of achieve a goal and then move on to the next one, but not actually allow myself and give myself room to celebrate what I've been able to accomplish. And so having those achievements and actually seeing what I've done in the day enables me to actually have a moment to celebrate and appreciate the effort that I put into achieving that. So the other thing I enjoy journaling about is actually just my ideas. So when I think of something, I quickly go and write it down. So I'm sure you've all had moments where you had this brilliant idea. Maybe you were laying in bed, it was like early hours of the morning, you're laying in bed, you had this brilliant idea. And you're like, do you know what? I remember that for the morning. And then guess what? You forget. So what I do is, because I've got my journal, I quickly note it down because I know, it's only a matter of time before you forget it with the kind of lives that we live. And so, I always write down every single idea that I have, whether it's a business related idea or it's just a way in which I can improve an area of my life. So I always note it down. So the other part of my journaling is all about recording all of the lessons that I learn on a day-to-day basis. And I feel like this is important for me because it helps you continuously improve. And so, for example, I can learn that today when I spoke to Bethel, I spoke to her this way. I tried to approach that conversation in this way and it didn't really work. And so I make a note of it and say, well, when I tried having that conversation, I tried this approach, it didn't work. And that way, I've learned that, going forward, don't try that approach because it's just a waste of time. So I always record all of my learnings, and that's learnings across the board, whether it's professional or in my personal life. I always write that down so I can actually continuously improve. So I've got learnings from years. If you look at my journals, these are journals from over the years. You're talking 5, 6, 7 years of journaling and lessons that I've learned. So I constantly go back to them in order to really, I don't know, just see where I've come from, and also to really understand, the kind of hurdles I've overcome, the improvements I've made over time, and how far I still need to go. So to finally answer the question, how has journaling helped you? I find that we live in a fast-paced world where we're constantly consuming volumes of data and going through so many experiences and interactions that we hardly have any downtime to actually process it all. So I found that journaling gave me that platform where I could filter through my thoughts and actually declutter my brain and get to a place where I've got clarity and perspective in order to make better decisions. Journaling gave me a space where I could see me for me. Journaling has helped me become a better person because I'm able to actually know who I am and see where I'm going clearly. So I've got a challenge for you. Think about something that's been bothering you, something that's actually been keeping you up at night. And then get yourself a journal, get yourself a pen, find a comfortable and ambient space where you can journal, sit down and then journal about it. So in there you can write what's actually happening, how you feel about it, what you've actually learnt so far from the experience, and then what you propose or what you reckon you're going to do about it. And then what I want you to do is go away from that, give it some time, maybe it might be a couple of hours, it might be a day or two, I don't know. And then come back to it. Have a look at it again. And I bet you anything, you're probably going to look at that and think, maybe it's a great idea. Or you might actually, in that moment, come up with a better solution to that problem, right, that's been bothering you for so long. So let us know how you get on with that. I'm Marco. Thank you for spending this time with me. Take care. See you again in the next one.